Hey guys, welcome to our Arrowverse Weekly Recap, wrap up, whatever you want to call it. We have 4 shows to talk about today, which is exciting. And there's a lot to say on a couple of them, specifically one in particular. But I figured I'd try and go in order. So we're just going to jump right into this review. This is not going to be a long review. Fortunately, I have some voiceover stuff that I have to get done starting at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. So we got about an hour and a half, but I think we can do it. All right. So let's start with Stargirl. Stargirl's episode basically begins with this kind of like a heartwarming moment between Pat and Sylvester Pemberton, which if you remember or if you read the comics, this is kind of, it tracks accurately. And that's only because Pat was always older than Sylvester. So when he starts talking about, when Sylvester starts talking about Eclipso pretty much threatening his family, he does this little story about his parents and how his parents got him this watch and, yada, yada, yada. They, come to find out he was bullied and they took the watch, but then they were like, the parents had no idea where the watch even came from. And they even forgot his birthday. And then he realized that it actually came from Pat. I'm going to say a few things about this, but one thing I like to nitpick and I like to talk because that's what we do in review land. Last episode, we saw Pat and Sylvester and all of the original JSA members going to Dr. McKnight's daughter's funeral, right? And it looked like they were all dressed and set like they were in the 1950s. So I'm still trying to figure out, how is Pat the same age? How is Sylvester? How do they still look the same age right now? I said this last week. It's even more apparent now. Like when Sylvester's like talking to Pat and saying, you taught me how to drive. And, you're the one that was always there for me. And I'm just like, that is very true. That tracks. But I mean, how old are you? Pat, how do you still look like you're late 40s or 30s, early 40s to me? I don't get how they don't age. And I'm being a hypocrite because I'm almost 45. I know I don't look my age, but I mean, there is a big difference between somebody being at a funeral that looks like it's set in the 1950s and then being in 2021. So I'm just confused. I just had to throw it out there. I'm a little bit confused. On top of that, if you know your comic history, you know that Sylvester was actually the Star Spangled Kid. So Courtney actually became the second Star Spangled Kid. So she didn't inherit the cosmic staff from him. She actually got his cosmic belt converter and, all that jazz. She doesn't get Jack Knight's staff until later on. And I love how they bypass it. They just basically made Sylvester Starman. And then, kind of instead of her inheriting his alter ego, she became Stargirl. Another thing, if you really think about the whole interesting fact between the 50s, and that funeral, if you date back, and I'll have to check my dates, don't quote me on this, but I do know in the Golden Age, which is when we first see Sylvester and Pat, they were like fighting Nazis and stuff like during World War II. Like they weren't like, this is what they did. They were both like very athletic. Like they did like this whole like circus act type acrobatic routine. Pat was a damn good fighter. As a matter of fact, he taught Sylvester how to fight. So whenever I see Pat get the hell beat out of him, it's very interesting for me because the Pat Dugan in the comics knew hand-to-hand combat. So he was not treated as a second-hand citizen like the JSA does in this one with Luke Wilson. So it's very interesting. It's just very interesting that the differences in the Arrowverse and the comic world. Not a bad thing, just different. So just had to put that out there. All right. So that scene was very sweet, though. And basically, Sylvester said, you're my family. You're my brother. I know I don't always treat you that way because I guess I have my parents in me, but you were my brother. And that's literally why Sylvester went along with killing Bruce Gordon, because he didn't want Pat to die. I don't know. I really liked that scene because if you think about that, it is a sharp contrast between that scene and then season 1, episode 1, where he first, Sylvester supposedly dies. And you see Pat say, I'll take the cosmic staff. He's like, no, not you. Anybody but you. Anybody but you. Because that's an homage to the comics. Because they used to fight for who was like the big, dog, who was the sidekick and who was the main attraction in the comics all the time. So I don't know. I just think their relationship is really cool. And that scene pretty much had me thinking about that. So, all right. So now we get to the beef of the thing. So Eclipso, it technically hasn't been all Eclipso. Pat and Barbara decided to keep the fact that the JSA killed Bruce from Courtney because Pat didn't want, Courtney to see him or the GSA in a negative light, like as, not heroes. It's not somebody that's good. And I get that. And then Courtney was like in her feelings, as all teenagers are. And she's like, you lied. Do you know that Yolanda wouldn't have quit if she knew that she wasn't the only JSA member that killed someone? And I'm like, that's a really, really weak argument. And I'm like, I'm sorry. No, she's very religious and she doesn't believe in murder. It doesn't matter how many people jumped on board. I mean, yeah, you took her to Rick and Beth thinking they were going to back her up with murder. And of course, Beth's like, I'm not getting in that life, So like, I don't know. That argument I thought was interesting that Courtney tried to use, that she's basically blaming all of the JSA juniors, issues right now on Pat, not telling her that the JSA had to kill someone to stop Eclipso. And something else, real talk. I could never talk to my parents the way any of the kids in the Arrowverse talk to their parents. Like I'm talking Superman and Lois. I'm talking, Arrow. I'm talking anybody that has kids. Like I was like, even with Black Lightning, I was in my feelings. I'm like, how in the hell are you getting away with it? If I would have been like, I can't trust you, I would have seen the hand of God from one of my parents slap me right upside my head, because that's not what we did in my house. So every time I see this, it's just really funny to me, and having a 25-year-old myself, she wouldn't talk to me that way either, because, I've given her 25 years, my cutoff date. Expiration. We can move on. So when Courtney was like talking to Barbara, and then Barbara was like, I don't really know how Mike and Courtney are ever going to trust us again. And I love that she put Mike in there, because let's be real, they normally don't include Mike in these conversations. So I love that was something that she said. And then he's like, well, we'll just have to earn back their trust. And I'm like, you guys realize you're putting Mike in this and you didn't care if Mike knew or not. Like, because he's like literally the child that is neglected the most in this. So I don't know. Courtney was being very pissy in this episode. I'm sorry. And even this is something else that didn't make sense. So they decided to split up. Like they tried to use the staff to put the Black Diamond together because the Shade showed up and said, that's how you basically can, recapture Eclipso. You put the diamond back together, it will zap him back into his prison, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's saved. So of course, without question, they were like, oh yeah, even though Pat's like, don't trust him, he lies. Courtney's like, let's just try it. So she tries it, but the staff is still too weak. So then Pat has an idea to go and basically find Jade because, a Green Lantern, which is badass, would be able to put the diamond back together, which is true. What I don't get, and I'm going to give my girl props, Beth, in a second. So we're going to talk about the little scene with her parents. I thought that was funny. So Beth comes over to protect Barbara and Mike from the Shade, right? It's like, why don't you stay home, Courtney, and protect them from the Shade? And then let Beth go with Pat to go find Jade. Why did Beth have to stay home? I know that they had to write a scene, a scenario, a moment for Pat and Courtney to be together alone so they can hash out their crap. But it made strategically no sense to have literally Dr. Midnight Jr., who has no combat training and literally can only do research. She literally is a superpowered library. That's what she is. Protect them against a man who can control the forces of the shadow world, while you, who has a shot at taking him down, goes with Pat. I don't even understand that. I don't get that at all. I mean, hell, to be fair, Pat could have gone by himself. This is where the Arrowverse is starting to come in, writing wise, for me, guys. I just had to put that out there. But one good thing did happen with Beth. Beth was talking to her parents, and then they were like, please take those goggles off. It's weird. She's like, nah, I need them to see what's real. So, of course, her parents were like, oh, we need to take you to a shrink. My girl, Mike, dropped her parents. She literally was like, so you guys wanted me to make friends. I made friends because you were too busy for work. Well, I did it. So basically, what's the problem? See ya. All of a sudden, they're standing there like, wow, helicopter parents got owned. So I love that. That was cool. That was a good moment for me. Another really sweet moment for me. I know it's weird to say this about Solomon Grundy, but when Rick's like in jail, laying in the bed, and Solomon's throwing apples through the grates, not grates, the bars. And of course, Rick knows it's from Grundy. And I'm like, it's so weird. It's weird, but it's oddly cute for some reason to have Rick and Solomon be friends. So that was a very sweet moment for me, which again is not something you ever think of saying involving Solomon Grundy. So I'll give Arrowverse this. They got me to say something about a Batman villain that's other than disgusting, I hate you and die. So all right, so they basically find Jade because of newspaper articles where it shows that she has been burning down things with green fire. Like I think she burned down I think it was a federal building that held the adoption records for her twin brother Todd. And it was an accident because her powers are basically 1,000,000,000,000% emotion based, which is not the best thing to do when you're not stable. It gives some Green Lantern abilities. But so she goes and she finds this center, which is really interesting. So she finds this place that they're holding her brother, or her brother gets arrested and they take him to this home. And what's interesting to me is there's a nurse there, and her last name she's like Head Nurse Love. If you know anything about Yolanda's backstory in the comics, there is a doctor named Dr. Love, and Dr. Love experimented on a lot of pregnant women, and Yolanda's mother was one of them. And she became a metahuman because he was injecting the serum into the mother to see what would happen. So he was basically experimenting on these babies. I think this is the same, like basically the same character, the same group. Especially since when they go there for Jade, and Jade, they tell Jade that her brother is no longer there, that he just left, but he's not. Obviously, he's still there. His stuff's still there. He's still there. And it's very nefarious. And the nurse even tells whoever she calls on the phone, which more than likely is Dr. Love, saying, did you know that Todd had a sister? So yeah, I think that this is definitely something that they're getting ready to have a whole little arc about after the Eclipso thing, because Todd is alive. And I need Obsidian. So I think that this is a very, very good way of bringing him in, but having it be, through like the whole love in the, because Dr. Love is like evil as hell. So and crazy. He's a mad scientist. So having that, even though I think he's kind of lesser known, but having him in there is definitely interesting. I just wish they had kept the Yolanda storyline at that point, because it would have been interesting to have her be a meta, because she is a meta in the comics, but whatever. I'm just throwing stuff out there. Arrowverse versus comics, which doesn't make any sense because we all know it doesn't matter. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting. I did love what Jade was able to put that diamond together, but before she was able to do it, which I don't understand. Okay. Communication in Stargirl is non-existent. And the reason I'm saying this is everybody listens to the radio. They read newspapers. That's not 2021. And we all know that's not 2021. I mean, you get alerts faster on your cell phone. You get smart news. So the fact that Beth was like going through all these documents because Dr. Midnight is able to talk to her, and tell her, things about the Shade. And he even says, I don't think the Shade is my enemy. He saved me. But the Shade had an agenda, and his agenda was he wanted the Black Diamond put back together so he could heal and be reconnected to the Shadow Realm and his powers. Beth figured it out, but instead of calling Courtney or saying, Courtney, don't do it or whatever, she goes and tells Barbara. And I'm like, what the hell is Barbara going to do? She's nowhere near them. We need to stop them. We are nowhere near them. Call them on this thing called the cell phone. What the hell is wrong with you? So I'm like, oh, I can't, guys. I'm like, I can't. Hell, maybe your goggles could even send a text message. I don't know. What did you think Barbara was going to do in that moment? Confusion. But yeah, the diamond gets put back together and it attracts Eclipso. And of course, Pat tries to hit him and he just smacks him aside like he's nothing. And he basically knocks Jade into a wall, which I'm still I'm in my feelings about, because Green Lanterns usually they usually put up a fight against Eclipso, but she's new. So I'm going to cut her some slack. But then he sends Courtney into the Shadow Realm, where of course we know Cindy is, because we see that in the next preview. So that was a thing. The only other notable thing about this is that Mike started messing around with trying to fix Stripe, which is interesting because I didn't know he had that. I mean, I know he wanted to do it, and I know he's been working with his dad. I didn't think he had the technical know-how to start messing around with this very advanced circuitry, but he starts playing around with it. He does make a comment saying it's something like, this is not like Legos or whatever, but he ends up pushing some buttons, and of course, Stripe starts playing the radio, because we have to have a radio everywhere in Blue Valley. And he overhears like there's a pink bolt like of lightning or whatever streak in the sky. So he goes to this house. It's basically become a gingerbread house straight out of Hansel and Gretel. And he's like, thunder. So of course it's probably Jakim's house. So I think we're going to get Jakim soon too, which we need to. We've only had him for like a millisecond. So I'm very interested to see his story and how he comes into it as well. So yeah, it's interesting. I feel like Blue Valley has not advanced in technology, which is very strange because every kid in there has a damn cell phone. But all of them are like looking at newspapers, listening to the radio. I'm like, what is happening? I mean, how many households do you know have a radio where the parents are not, are under the age of 50? I don't know. I'm just throwing some stuff out there. I thought it was really interesting. So not a bad episode. Obviously, I've been enjoying Stargirl a lot. So I don't really have a lot of hate. As a matter of fact, I think Stargirl is one of the shows I'm enjoying the most out of the Arrowverse right now. But yeah, I think I am looking forward to next week. I want to see how Courtney and Cindy interact in the Shadow Realm since she's there and Pat couldn't save her. So yeah, that is a thing. And plus, they don't even know she's in the Shadow Realm. I mean, as far as he knows, he probably thinks she's dead. So I want to see how that is going to be. All right, so that was Stargirl in a nutshell. I'll get to your comments in a minute, guys. We're gonna go right into Supergirl. My first statement for Supergirl: Supercorp, make these people fucking canon already. I'm sorry, I am so tired of the queer baiting in this show. It is queer baiting at this point. Like, so the sweetest little child you'll ever see in an Arrowverse show, I'm sure there are others, but Esme, the little girl they got for Esme is absolutely effing adorable. She's adorable. She's like a little kitten, a little puppy. She's absolutely adorable. So, in the last episode, Kelly and Alex decided to adopt her. So they're bringing her back. Alex is being neurotic like she normally is when she's nervous. We've seen this a million times. We saw it when she came out. We saw it when she was dealing with wanting to be a superhero and not being adequate enough. Every time she has a major life, change in her, she becomes completely neurotic and starts freaking out. That whole scene when they brought her home is cute, but you can see that Esme doesn't trust that they're not going to give her away. So she's like, I can find a place for my stuffed animal, Lucky, yada, yada. Very cute child. So Brainy and basically is talking about getting a present for Esme, and everybody's getting something for Esme. And, he asked what kind of set, like Lego set or some kind of set that she would want. And before Lena can even get it out, her and Kara at the exact same time, Kara comes in, both of them say train, like a train set. And I'm like, okay. And then this just starts it off, this whole freaking thing where, like, I swear, as cute as Kelly and Alex are, because they are a cute couple, there is so much chemistry in one scene between Kara and Lena. And when you have these two in a scene, there's like literally no other relationship. And they're not even a couple. It is so weird to me. And like, there's a point where they're talking about hope. And of course, Lena does her thing where if you're going to, give them hope as Kara and not as Supergirl. And now she believes in her. And then she uses, what was it? Elmira, like stronger together in Kryptonian. Like Lena said that to Kara. And I'm like, come on. Like she's even using the girl's language. I'm like, As a queer woman, I am offended by this, guys. Just offended. I'm like offended. So yeah, Supercorp to me is the ship. They just need to get on board and just stop. Just stop. All right. So I saw this as two things. It's Esme's adaptability with Alex and Kelly and dealing with the fact that her specific alien type has the ability to mimic other powers. So she's a mimic, basically a power mimic. Very funny when Martian Manhunter shows up and they don't tell her that he's an alien, and she goes to put her stuffed animal somewhere and she phases through the wall. That was funny, and he just reaches in and pulls her out. That was hilarious. I also thought it was interesting when she got around Kara, and of course Alex has this thing where she just basically doesn't know when to stop pushing. And she's always been this way. And so she's like trying to tell Esme, you can do it. Just don't give up. Just keep pushing forward. I'm like, this is a child. This is a young child. She tells you she doesn't want to do it. She's tired. Leave her alone. But she kept pushing her to do it. And so, of course, she figures out that Kara is Supergirl immediately because they have the same powers and she senses it. And so Kara is trying to teach her to use, her super hearing. And so she's like, listen to that and listen to these nice things. But she's also hearing all these bad things. And this is a young girl. She's hearing kids screaming and stuff. So yeah, she gets mad and she's like, you suck, and runs away, basically. And so, yeah, I loved the whole arc of them trying to convince her that they want to be her parents, by even giving her a gift, which is basically an alien type being or creature that allows you to only, hear the truth. So anything around them, since she's a power thing, anybody around her can only hear the truth. And I'm like, they better not let her keep that, because in her teenage years, when you want to hide shit from her, she's going to have that in her room and be like, you're lying. So, but it does work in their favor. And I love the fact that Esme is coming to terms with, I love my room. And she basically believes that they want to be with her. They even told her that they were superheroes. So she knows she knows basically the super friends, that they are all heroes, and that she has to not say anything. So, but Esme is so adorable, and she's been so traumatized. I love that little girl. She made this episode for me. That and all of the super corp that they are queer baiting us with, which is irritating actually, but still cute to watch. Nixie. So Nixie is like doing her own little thing. She's getting the hope totem. She is trying to get all of the totems. And what got me was, her big thing is she wanted to have Kara figure out the totem, and then she was going to take that. And then I think it was a courage totem. It's one of the totems they still have, the humanity totem, I think it is. She wants to get those totems back from Kara after Kara figures out how to break the, whatever the test is with the hope totem. So she decided in order to get those totems back, they needed to have bait. So decided, because she had a newspaper, because again, Arrowverse, we love our newspapers. We were going to kidnap William. I'm like, I get that he's embedded with the Super Friends. I get he's an employee at Catco. I get that he kind of has a connection. He used to date Kara, la la la. But why not kidnap Lena? Or somebody that would really traumatize Kara to get hurt? Alex, Lena, Esme, those three. She probably doesn't know about Esme, but like Lena and Alex were like prime good examples of who to blackmail Kara with. She went with William. And then they go to save William, and William saves his damn self. But I thought that was funny as hell. He's like, why are you like talking to me like I'm not here? And he literally like leg sweeps Nixie. And I thought that was freaking hilarious, because I'm like, it's almost like he said, I don't need no Supergirl. I could see the head roll. He ended up getting the totem back and saving himself. And I'm like, Supergirl, did you need to be there? So that was funny to me. The whole quest for peace moment with the torpedoes, that was a thing. I actually didn't like Superman Quest for Peace. I thought that was one of the worst Superman movies. And I love Christopher Reeve. I just did not like that movie. Superman 4 was a very bad movie. But then 3 wasn't that great either. So it is what it is. But yeah, I know that they were doing an homage to that, because the torpedo. The only difference is she had Martian Manhunter with her when she was getting all the torpedoes. But, that's a thing. I did like the interaction a lot between the secretary and Martian Manhunter, because you can see her prejudice against aliens. But at the same time, she's basically more like, well, if you're here, be useful. Why don't you just brainwash everyone and make them agree with me? Basically, then sign the treaty. And I'm like, that is so weird to me. I just thought that was, I don't know. I thought that was interesting. I think they had to have a caveat for him. They're always looking for something for Martian Manhunter to do. And I think that is so sad, because John is such an amazing character in the comics. I love Martian Manhunter, and he gets he gets a bad stick in the Arrowverse, because he has so many abilities that they milk down. Like so many situations that he's in, he doesn't have to be in, because he's Martian effing Manhunter, but they don't give him that because the show is billed as Supergirl. So it's like not Supergirl and Martian Manhunter. So they dumb him down a lot. Like his powers are dumbed down a lot, and it irritates the hell out of me. It really does. But it is what it is. Again, this is an Arrowverse thing. It's what they do. So it's a moment in time. Overall, not a bad episode. Again, I am sticking by what I said in every one of these Supergirl reviews. The totem situation should have happened earlier in the season, and then we could have had more content, more fight, whatever in this one. The only other thing that I will say for me that was significant, other than Lena still practicing magic, still trying to be a charm one, is that Nixley because she doesn't have the totem, Kara decides to throw it into the sun. And then she gets a delivery, and it's a little box that says secret admirer. And the only person I can think of that would have done that is F and Lex Luthor. So that's probably how Lex is coming back into the fold, because he's the one that has connections to give her suits and tech like that. And it's brilliant enough to make it in Supergirl's universe. So I'm pretty sure that is exactly who is going to be aiding Nixley, because he would rather a fifth dimensional imp have power than have any Kryptonian, because that's how much he hates Kryptonians. So I can see him literally allying with somebody who has, pretty much supernatural magic ability, and then not have anything else, like related to Krypton, because he cannot stand Kryptonians. So I don't know. I thought that was interesting. It was interesting. Yeah. So now I want to know what Lex has been up to. I mean, we know what he's supposed to be doing, but yeah, it looks like if he's able to get something to Nixley like that, then that tells me that Lex is he's up to no good, and his nefarious ways are going to be present throughout the end of this season, or series, should I say, because these are the final episodes. So, but yeah, not a bad episode. I kind of, like I said, I really, really enjoy watching most shows on the Arrowverse to a point. It's usually the writing that gets me. This one didn't have bad writing, except for the William thing was stupid. They're just moments that I thought were like, why? But, again, that's something that we expect in the Arrowverse. So I don't really have a, expectation is probably a good word that I'm going to use in that one. All right. So let's jump on to Legends of Tomorrow. Legend of Tomorrow. So again, I don't ever see Legends of Tomorrow as the Arrowverse, but it is. So that's why I just have to put it in our Arrowverse reviews. But honestly, if I did a Legends review separately, you wouldn't be missing out, because it doesn't pertain to anything that's happening throughout the rest of the Arrowverse. But they're still stuck in 1925, because, in the season finale, which I swear seems like 3 weeks ago, or there might have been, got blown up. So they don't know how to get home. So they're stuck in Odessa, in basically Spooner's childhood home, now that she knows that is her mother and that she actually comes from 1925. So now the big plan is to try and figure out how in the heck to get back to the future. They don't have any tech. They don't have a way back home. They don't have a wave rider. They have nothing. Now through the episode, Zari is very much still in her feelings for being dumped by John, even though I don't really feel like she was dumped. I feel like they kind of amicably broke up. He was going off to do his thing, and she obviously was not going with him. And then he gave her this old key. And the interesting thing about this old key is, by giving her that key, that tells me he knew exactly what was going to happen to the team. So it's interesting. So Constantine's off doing whatever Constantine does, but I thought that was really interesting. Ava is not in her comfort zone at all. She literally is losing her shit because, Time Corp, we need to figure out. I'm a time agent. I need structure. I need plans. I need future tech. They can't wipe anybody's memories. They can't do anything because they have nothing. Simultaneously, Astrid is having performance issues. And what I mean by that is she's comparing herself to John. If he can do spells, I can do spells. I'm his protege, blah, blah, blah. So she decides she's going to try and put the Wave Rider together with a spell to resurrect. And even, it's really interesting. Nobody really knew she was going off to do it. And, she kind of got into that with Gary. And Gary was like, this is actually something you do on people, but she decided to try and use it on the Wave Rider. And it was actually working, except there was one word she was supposed to do, but her body couldn't handle that much because, she's not used to that much power and that, what it takes to use that much magic. She almost dies. And Spooner gets really upset. And I love in this episode that we have established that Spooner and Astrid are best friends. They're BFFs because neither of them had friends because, of course, Spooner was ostracized because she talked about her mother being kidnapped by aliens. And then, of course, Astrid was in hell. So they've never had a basic connection to be able to, or actually people they could relate to. And they had so much in common. I mean, both of them lost their moms. Technically, Spooner has her mother back, but they both lived alone. They both felt abandoned. So like there's so many similarities between these two characters that I really love them. And I love when they were like, when Spooner was like, I wasn't mad because you were bringing all this heat on my mom. I was mad because, you almost died and I consider you my BFF. And Asher's like, nobody ever said that to me before. And you're my BFF too. I'm like, that is so effing adorable. I'm like, so I did like that. I did like their friend. I like their friendship a lot. I think it's very cool. So some highlights in this. They first try to convince the town, because apparently this is what protocol says by the Time Bureau, that they were a circus, a traveling circus. Unfortunately, they kind of cornered Gary and asked, well, when can we come see the show? Which all of them should have thought about. Like literally everyone should have been like, okay, you're advertising this, but when can we see it and where? Because that's normally the questions that follow that, And, I don't know how the other ones got away with not saying anything, but of course they asked Gary and Gary said, oh, okay, tonight. So then they're all going back to the house to try and figure out, how to put on this imaginary circus. Spooner's mom is kind of worried because, she already feels ostracized being a foreigner. So she doesn't want to be arrested or have all this heat brought on her because of them. So Spooner convinces them not to do the circus. Well, that poses a problem because basically there is an emergency, safe. It's basically a safe that the Time Bureau has as a last resort. So it's supposed to have everything they need. They're supposed to be able to open it up, be able to get all their devices out, travel wherever the hell they need to go, to the future, to the past, wherever, to get them out of the situation that they're in. So unfortunately, Rory got into it and took all the things that they needed out because it's Rory. And that means that they're once again still stranded. And not only are they stranded, to get the safe back, because a neighbor found it and took it to the local sheriff, Nate pretended that he was Hoover. And at the time, he's not the president. He's just an agent. And, the sheriff was like, well, you don't look like, Hoover. And he's like, but I am. And it's just the hair products I'm using. And so he convinces them to give the box back. But then the real Hoover basically, shows up later on. And that's where it gets kind of messy because he shows up at Spooner's mother's house and starts interrogating them on the bank robbers. They think they're these bank robbers, basically, that he's been tracking across the states. And right as he's about to check the room that Astra is in because she's hurt and not doing well, they find this closet. They're all going to hide in the closet, right? And then they can't open it. And then Bayrod's like, the key. It's the key, Zari. That's what he left you. And I'm like, what the hell? So of course this old key opens this closet and they end up going to this place, which is almost set in hell. It's like a little pocket dimension that looks like the inside of John's mansion or Constantine's mansion that they can hide out in while Hoover's basically tearing up the house looking for them. Poor Asher is having anxiety because she didn't know what the hell's going on. They go through this door and then the guy Hoover comes in and checks the door and she's like, oh shit, are they gonna find them? And it's just a regular closet, a small closet, which none of them should have been able to fit in. So yeah, there was that. But so they have this little pocket dimension. Well, now they come back through time and they have to figure out, what are they going to do? So they decide that they're going to go to New York because they have a way they think they can get back, but they have to get to New York. But to do that, they actually have to get away from Odessa. And so they need money to do it. They decide to rob a bank. They decide to become the bank robbers, which I thought was really, it is what it is. The entire scene with them robbing the bank was hilarious because Sarah's good at pretending to be the bad guy, but Ava's literally disclaimering everything. And by the way, don't let this affect your life. Make sure you live your life and blah, 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 and do everything you would have done, blah, blah, blah. Rule 44 of the Time Bureau training. That woman, she cracks me the hell up. I'm sorry. She really does. But nobody in the town while they were robbing it were panicked. It's like they expect to have a bank robbery. There's even like one woman that was like, you can't just take another gang's name. And like, it was like, she was like all like in her feelings about it. And so like they were trying to figure out a name. So Gary and Nate are outside talking to this woman who's like, while the place is being robbed and nobody else is giving a damn. She's like, well, we got to think of something. So they're like, okay, well, how about something about the bullet blondes? And he's like, and Nate's like, but we're in the gang too. But she's like, the women are doing all the heavy lifting. And I was like, and they're like, all right. So they became the bullet blondes. And then the woman's like, the bullet blondes are robbing the bank. And everyone's like, yay. And I'm like, these people need a hobby. they need some help in Odessa. I'm like, there's something seriously wrong. So they start getting in the getaway car and they leave. And Hoover's on the top of the car. So, Nate's driving. He freaks out when his head comes down. He like slams on the brakes. And then Hoover goes over the car and falls. And they really think he's dead. And so they're like, oh my God, we killed Hoover. So they get out to look at him. And then he's actually, they're moving him around or whatever. He starts coming to. And then Nate's like getting all relieved and stuff. And Hoover's like, oh yeah, something about me. I don't miss twice. And so then he tries to shoot him in the head. And then of course, Nate's natural response is to go steal. And it ricochets and then hits Hoover. And then of course, he really is dead. So Ava's like, all right, I'm done. I'm just going to die. She just lays on the ground. And I'm like, wow, girl's got problems. And then they start talking and Sarah's like, no, well, we can fix this. We got to keep going. We'll go on our honeymoon and then we'll even listen to your podcast about the serial killers. And then Ava's like, ha, I've trained for this. I have trained. I've listened to so many, researched so many crime stories and killers, how people get away with murder. I got this. And she literally is like, we got to get rid of the body. She like shifted and Sarah's like, what the hell? And I'm like, you don't know your wife. But she has Gary eat Hoover's body, which is a mess. And that's how they're disposing it. And now they're going to book it to New York. Now, Spooner, of course, and Astor are still back at the Odessa, at the mom's house. And they go out and they're talking. And then, after they do this whole "you're my BFF" thing, and then they start talking about what they would like from Gideon, and then wishing that Gideon was here. And they start talking about that right after Astor says the last word in the spell. And she says it was this. Well, we see this red glow occur, and next thing you know, there's a naked Gideon in the middle of the damn field. So I'm like, oh Lord. So yeah, that entire episode was on crack. Legends is always on crack. I'm sorry, that is the only explanation I can ever give anybody about Legends of Tomorrow. They're always good episodes because they're always campy. They're always you're not supposed to take it seriously at all. You're not. If they had Crisis on Infinite Earth just in Legends of Tomorrow, I probably would have enjoyed it a hell of a lot more, because it would have been campy and it would have been silly and I would have enjoyed it. And the plot holes wouldn't have mattered because it's Legends. So that would have been, for me, a better way of doing Legends of Tomorrow, just keeping it all in Legends of Tomorrow. But yeah, I digress. Very, very good episode. And the only thing I left out, which probably did some tidbits, is the way that they actually got away from the house is they tied up Spooner and her mother, pretending that they had, manipulated them and helping them, so that Hoover wouldn't take it out on her mom later. Because her mother still has to live in the 1920s, if they decide to leave and if Spooner decides to go with them. So, but yeah, I'm really enjoying this, and I can't wait to see what's going on with Naked Gideon in the middle of the field. Maybe she's going to be the one that helps put the Wave Rider back together if she still has. I mean, I don't know if she's going to be a technopath or what, but I don't know. I think it'll be cool to see how that plays out. And then the other thing is Bayrod and his weed gummies. They have to keep putting in his product placement for getting high in every episode I've seen. So that's just a thing. So yeah, pretty good episode. Now, guys, I only watch Batwoman for you. And so if you like this episode, you have my permission, you have the right, you have whatever you need to leave this stream. Because I didn't. I thought the episode was mad garbage. And I'm not going to lie about it. So, I don't lie. I tell you my feelings, and I want all of the writers and the showrunners fired from the show. So that's how I feel. I felt like it was mad effing trash. So let's just jump right in. So in the episode kind of starts off with, Luke and Ryan fighting these goons who have Poison Ivy's vine, basically. Luke knows how to fight a little bit. I don't know where he got this from, because he sure didn't know how to fight like prior to this, but I guess maybe he had a few boxing lessons, or Ryan Choi shared the YouTube video that he had when he was in crisis and he learned to fight. So maybe he got it off YouTube. I don't know, but he was doing a little something. And then his suit started malfunctioning and he started having a panic attack. Now, I don't know if this suit was malfunctioning because it played off of his fear, or if it malfunctioned and then he was just in fear. But either way, he was not doing very good. And so Ryan had to save him. They get back and Mary's talking about the fact that she's getting ready to graduate from medical school. She's going to be a full-fledged doctor now. Now, when did Mary go to school? I mean, I know she went to school in season 1. When did we see her go to school in season 2? Like, I don't know about you, but you have to have a lot of hours to graduate. So I'm just confused on when she was doing this, because normally in medical school, and I have a lot of friends who have gone through medical school, one who is a neurologist, and I know how many hours you have to spend to graduate from a medical program. I'm just trying to figure out when she had time to go to school in season 2. Everything feels so effing rushed in this series. It drives me crazy. Like, we have to suspend our disbelief to the point where it's stupid, and it just bothers me in this series. So I don't understand that at all. I know she references somewhere in the series, she references that she's going to class, but I mean, with all the stuff that's happened to her, I don't understand how she kept going to class. Like, it's really weird. It's like when you watch the Power Rangers and you're like, Rita Repulsa doesn't like attack them before 3:30 because she knows they have English and math. It's like these villains in Gotham are just really nice to her. It's really weird. It's just a really weird thing. So I'm just throwing it out there. It's just very strange. The fake Mad Hatter being obsessed with Alice, I was okay with that, because I mean, if you're going to be crazy and you have an idol, it's going to be Alice. The way Ryan interacted with Alice in this episode made Ryan to be a bigger bitch than Alice. And the reason I'm saying that is we understand that Alice is effed up. We understand this. But I'm going to use Mary as an example in this episode, okay? So Alice was literally held captive as a child, tortured, basically driven crazy. And then had another person, I think it was the captor's mother, come in and abuse her further, to the point where she was burning her, pouring hot tea and stuff on her hands. And I think the breaking point for her there was when she went and opened the freezer and saw her mother's head. That will fuck up anybody. On top of that, you realize that your family thinks you're dead and gave up looking for you. And then your dad got married and moved on with another family, so there's another sister. And then you go off to an island and then are further brainwashed into being crazy, basically made into Red Alice, which technically she's not Red Alice, but you know what I'm saying. Similar storyline. And then you come back and you basically do what you've been brainwashed and made to do. You're batshit crazy and you torture and you kill. But there's some of Beth in there and they see it. And Kate was bringing Beth out. Again, I am all for people getting redemption. I'm also all for people paying to get redemption. I don't want you to get it overnight. It's something you have to do for a long period of time. And you have to be completely remorseful. But like Ryan's just like, she's a bitch. I'm like, she's just a bitch. Her goons killed my mother. There's nothing redeemable about her, blah, blah, blah. All right. So when Mary is literally brainwashed in this episode by, because Mad Hatter's using his hat. So everybody's basically, mind controlled. And she's basically pulling out the organs of the dean of her medical college. Everyone's like, oh, but you were just brainwashed. I'm like, but he still could have killed this fucker. And then on top of that, the choices made in this episode, let's be clear. Sophie could have knocked Mary the hell out. She could have knocked her out. You can't perform tasks if you're unconscious. And they had these special like earplugs that Luke gave that you can, I guess you can control with his phone or whatever, that basically offsets the signal of the hat so they can't be mind controlled. Why didn't he give these to Mary when they know that Mad Hatter, Junior is running around Gotham as a precaution in case he shows up at the commencement or anywhere, as a self-defense? She's gonna be like, nope, not today. Just like, why wasn't that something that was given to her? Why is it something that just Ryan, Sophie, and Luke have? I don't get it. I don't understand. I just generally feel like the writers don't know what the hell to do with Alice. So they just keep throwing her in these storylines and these situations because, hey, we don't want to fire the actress because Ruby Rose quit as Batwoman. That's what I keep seeing. So let me get back to Ryan. People they got on me like last season when I said I don't support Ryan Wilder. I mean, I don't. And it's not because, obviously, it's not because she's Black. I'm part Black. It's fucking stupid to even insinuate that. It's because the writers don't support Ryan Wilder. They write Ryan Wilder as a bitch. They write her as somebody who literally runs at the mouth without thinking. She does things that are extremely problematic and nobody really says anything about it. Like, let's talk about the fact that she broke in to get Alice out of this asylum. She beat the hell out of the employees there. They were just doing their damn job. Like, literally, that was illegal as fuck. I mean, illegal as fuck. Did she go back and apologize? Did she say, oh, my bad? Did she go and explain to the warden, hey, we need to get her because it's an emergency situation. I'm Batwoman. You know me. I'm always defending Gotham. No, she broke in there and beat the shit out of the employees. And that was it. And I'm like, what? Then let's talk about Mary. So Mary is in her feelings because her family, they're not there for her. Her dad's locked up. Kate's off looking for Bruce. She has no family. Her mother's dead, obviously. So everybody has their little family at the commencement. And she, of course, has Ryan, Sophie, and Luke. But she's feeling very bad. So after everything's said and done, they go back to her place and they have like a little party. And we have Ryan and Sophie and we have Luke. Well, after she does her commencement speech and everyone's like, yay, I'm proud of you, blah, 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 Luke goes off to go fix the suit. And then for some reason, instead of Ryan taking Sophie aside and saying, hey, this envelope that you gave me earlier this episode where you know the identity of my real mama, I don't think I need this anymore. Just keeping it on the down low here. I'm good. And then go back and hang out with Mary at her party. She fucking leaves with Sophie and goes to the bar to have the exact same damn conversation. It's like you had to leave the apartment. You couldn't just pull her aside. And then Mary's sitting here like, oh, I guess I'll just clean up and keep the party going. And then the one person that sent her a gift was Kate. Guys, I do not like this show. I don't like it. I'm trying. I try to keep an open mind, but it's just effing stupid. I can't. And then what's really interesting to me is, remember, one of the gripes that I had about why I don't support Ryan Wilder is because the writers don't. They literally they were supposed to make a powerful, first ever Black female superhero on her own merits, her own abilities, her own clout. But the only thing Ryan has is Kate's shit. Her family, her title, her apartment, her club, potentially Sophie after Sophie starts banging Renee, because I'm pretty sure that's going to happen, unless they fight over her. Maybe it's going to be a love triangle. And then I saw a preview for next week where we learned that Ryan is also the acting CEO of Wayne Industries. Why not Luke? Why not Mary? I mean, hell, Luke's father was a lifetime freaking employee of this company. Luke literally was in the company when Kate came in to take over to make it into a real estate firm. Why in the hell did they make Ryan, a felon who probably does not have a degree in business management, the acting CEO of Wayne Industries. Please, somebody explain to me what the hell Arrowverse is doing. This is so effing stupid. I can't. I cannot. So now, not only does Ryan have all of the stuff I just mentioned, she also has Bruce Wayne's business. But yeah, they defeat the fake Mad Hatter by having Alice talk to Mad Hatter and basically convince him to. She says, "I don't think you're crazy. Let those people go," and then he does it. And then she ends up killing him, but she doesn't kill him. She actually just knocks him out. She stabs him, but she hurts him enough to black out. Ryan had promised her that she could run if she got her out, if she came with her and helped her. And then right after that, and this is what I'm telling you how they write Ryan really effed up. In the Batmobile, when they're on their way, Alice is like completely messed up because she's been seeing in her mind postcards from her dad where her dad's coming to save her. Yeah, she's having issues because she's confined. She's trapped again in a little space like she was as a child. And Ryan's like, "Oh, do you want to talk about it?" And so, of course, Alice puts on this facade of like, "Oh, I can't really see my boyfriend like this," because that's her defense mechanism. She becomes this like an unfeeling bitch, basically. But Ryan acted all sympathetic, and then when everything was said and done, she's like, "Well, back to jail, bitch." And I'm like, and then we have the mama drama, because we're going to have mama drama in this season. We have a very rich woman who paid to have somebody claim that the mother died in childbirth, even uses a pseudonym, and actually is being paid by Robin Gibbons and seems to be the new Mary Hamilton, or at least Mary's mother, because she's rich. She's flying in on a helicopter, so she's got money. She had money if she could pay $2 million to a doctor to forge a death certificate and forge his name and basically forge information on Ryan's birth certificate like that. So we're going to have mama drama. We already know that Ryan has a brother and is going to be introduced as well. He's probably going to go the way of Ocean, though. We had this big, brand new potential, this character that has all this potential that you just end up doing hardly nothing with and killing off in the end. He was there to fight a little bit, make out with Alice, and die. That's literally what he was there for, because that is the writing on this show. So I don't really hold any real hope for anything happening with the mother or the son either. I am going to continue to watch this train wreck, but it's not really a train wreck at this point. It was a train wreck last season. At this point, the train has crashed, but for some reason, we just keep trying to fucking drive it. I don't understand why. I am so irritated as a person of color that this is the representation we have. It pisses me the F off. And as a queer woman, to have a queer person of color as a superhero that is a female, and you give me this garbage, it really irritates the shit out of me. I am irritated. I am so effing irritated at this show. If you ask me right now what Arrowverse show I cannot stand, it is Batwoman. And I'm angry because, again, so much potential, but bad writing and a bad showrunner. And I just cannot. I just can't. I can't. So I only watch this show for you guys. Not putting any guilt on you. I just don't want to not. I'm doing an Arrowverse recap, so I have to say, hey, this is part of the Arrowverse. But I'm telling you right now, Angry Grandma is telling you, this is shit. I would rather learn to literally knit something that would take me 500 years to do slowly, one stitch an hour, than watch 1 minute of this show. So, yeah. That is how I feel. But yeah, side note, Renee Montoya, who is one of Kate's exes in the comics, she's going to be banging Sophie, apparently. That's what I've heard, is that Sophie and Ryan, according to showrunner, are supposed to get together. Not Sophie and Renee are supposed to get together, which is interesting. It's interesting that Kate's ex, Sophie, is going to be getting with her comic book ex, Renee. Because why not? A cute scene that I thought was between Luke and Lucius talking through his helmet, when he was like, Dad, is that your voice? He's like, how do you know, how'd you know I'll be here, whatever. And he's like, I'm your dad. I always know, something on those lines. I thought that was a really sweet scene. I love that when Luke talks to his dad, even though his dad is dead, that Lucius still has found ways to communicate with his son because he knows when his son needs him. I thought that was really sweet. So disclaimer, I don't have a problem with Luke's character. No, he's nothing like the comics, as Crisis is more like the Luke that we know from the comics. I have no problem though, at all, with his character. I don't. I mean, yes, he follows the trope. He is literally the male Black Felicity. So is Cisco is the male Hispanic Felicity. Like this Felicity was like literally the template, and then everybody had one in every show. It's just what happened, unfortunately. But I still don't think he is character assassinated. I think Ryan Wilder is character assassinated, which is so sad because she's an original character. I have no hate towards this actress, Javicia Leslie. There's nothing to do with her. It is all the writing. I am so effing over this shit. I'm sorry. I am so over it. It's bad. It is really bad. It makes zero sense to me. So, yeah. So hopefully if you are a Batwoman supporter, you left this stream because I'm sorry. I wasn't going to lie. I don't expect anything from this. I just don't at all. I just don't. It's just very sad that we had so much potential for this show. And, and again, I was like completely okay with them having Ryan Wilder. I thought that was an interesting way of spinning this. It is the Arrowverse. It's its own universe. We know in the comic land, Kate's still Batwoman. As a matter of fact, we had a few Batwomen. So there's nothing for us to be upset about because Arrowverse, it's its own Earth. Their Prime Earth is not comic Prime Earth. We've known this since Arrowverse or since Arrow. So there's no hate towards that. But I feel like it's still hard. It's disheartening, especially when you realize that some of the writers are actually people of color on this show that are writing shit like this. And it's just like, wow, what is wrong with you? I'm like, I don't. Mm-mm. All right. So that's that. I don't want to talk about that show anymore. I'm done with that. Not going to talk about it. So let's go. I know we got a few questions and we're doing really well. I don't have to leave till 3 for some voiceover stuff. So let me roll up. Hey, Kevin, how are you? I really enjoyed that moment between Starman and Pat. That was sweet. It was really sweet. I mean, it just got me thinking about them in the comics. I thought it was a really, really sweet moment. The opening and ending were the best. The rest, you was falling asleep. I can see that. That's going to happen on a lot of the shows, though, unfortunately. You're always going to have some moments that are just bam, and then some are just kind of dragged out. Like, if you really think about Supergirl, it wasn't a bad episode, but it wasn't an exciting episode in any scope of anyone's imagination. So the easiest answer would be is they didn't want to hire younger actors to portray Pat and Starman. Hell, you could have got the extras to do it. I'm like, come on. The opening ending was the best. The rest, I was falling asleep. I think I already got that one. I found it weird that when they were in the car, they weren't even trying to hide the staff. It was just sitting out in the open for the world to see. I found it weird that Courtney was going. I'm like, why the hell are you going? The shade is with your mom. And you brought Beth as a bodyguard? Because you had to go on this magical car ride with Pat that he could have done by his damn self because he was also a member of the JSA, even though technically they didn't consider him to be a member. At least most of them didn't. At least Wildcat didn't. But I mean, if you really think about it, he didn't need Courtney. Pat's been doing this stuff without her before she was even effing born. You could have stayed home with your mama and made sure she was safe from the shade. Why were you? I don't understand that. That's just weird. That's weird. I mean, Yolanda didn't have to kill. That's a choice she made. Yep. And has to live with it. Yep. You cannot put that shade on Pat because he didn't tell you that the JSA original members killed Bruce. Yes, Courtney was pissing me off with her attitude. She gets in her feelings. It's because nobody put her, her little butt over their, lap and tanned her butt. That's what that's about. If you don't spank your children, I'm sorry. And the shade proved that he is truly shady. Yeah. And I don't feel like he was being malicious. I think he was being self-serving. So he even said, I'm sorry, Barbara, and I love when he was talking about his sister, Emily. That was real. I think that moment was actually real when he was regretting, not being there for his sister. I was salty that Jenny came back for like 5 minutes. They could have been more for her in that episode. I know. I mean, I'm hoping that they bring her back with them or Pat does, because Courtney's stuck in the Shadow Realm. Maybe that's how they get her out. That or the Shade. I don't know. Strategic fail. Well, we know that the Arrowverse has never been known for a strategy, just to be clear. The moment with Beth and her parents was sweet. That was my favorite moment in that whole episode. She just mic dropped them, and they were standing there like, well, fuck. I loved it. They probably needed Beth there as exposition as to what happens when the diamond is fixed and add an extra level of suspense. But for her purposes of being a bodyguard, I feel like that didn't make any sense because she has no combat training. She can't fight. They always defend her and protect her, especially Rick. So that doesn't make any sense at all. Batman was a fun episode. No, fun to make fun of, yeah. Solomon is joining the JSA for sure. I don't know if they're going to go that far because at the end of the day, but you know what though? I scratched that. You could be absolutely correct because look what they did with Killer Frost. Killer Frost was a villain. Vibe was a villain, but he became a JSA member in the comics. But Killer Frost, really, outside I think one standalone comic where she was forced to, has never been a JSA member. So yeah, that could be a thing. So setting things up for season 3. Oh, absolutely. Hello, Xila X. It's been a while, XV. And now Courtney is banished to the Shadow Realm. I mean, I kind of felt like that was going to happen. It was very foreboding because if Cindy's not dead, then there has to be somebody that goes to the Shadow Realm to figure out that she's still alive. So why not Courtney? Sometimes small towns are more old-fashioned than the big city. It's a common trope in other shows. I will agree with that to a certain extent. But I mean, at the same time, we're in a digital age. So like even finding, like where I live in Memphis is not big. But we have a large population. But like the area of town I'm in is pretty small. And I don't know anybody who does newspapers like anymore. Maybe like advertisement papers, but I don't know anyone. Even our local paper is online now. Like you can get a subscription online to read all the stuff. So it's just weird at 2021 that is that life. I'm not a huge fan of black and white filter. I get that. A lot of people, some people don't like the Chromecast at all. I don't have a problem. I'm a film major, so I don't have a problem with like any of that. The only thing that always bothered me was the lens flare that J.J. Abrams loved to do in all of his movies, especially in Star Trek. It was driving me absolutely insane. I liked Mike's little adventure and him finding out what the genie has been up to. Yep. I can't wait till you realize it's Jakeem. That's going to be really funny. Was Ryan a good character in 3-1? No. They really need to get the HBO Max writers back on this show. They need to get the HBO Max writers back on all the shows. I want people to watch Batgirl and then compare it to Batwoman. I think they're going to be very upset. I really do. I have a lot of faith in what they're doing with Batgirl. I think it's Batgirl and we're getting Black Canary as well. So it's a shame. Is the way that Esme is a better actress than most of the adult actors. She's just effing adorable. She's so cute. You just want to pick her up and hug her all the time. They got an actress that can emote sadness on a cute level. That is dangerous. You'll give her everything. Here, take my PayPal account. Take my give it all. Just give her all of it. I do love the scenes between Kara and Lena, though. I'm telling you, they are queer. Look, they're either planning on making them endgame or they are queer baiting to a supernatural level, and that is not fair. It is not fair because they're even literally thinking they're on the same page about almost everything. It is irritating. Even if you ship Supergirl or not, Melissa and Katie have a lot of chemistry, a ton. They have more chemistry than Alex and Kelly. And I think Alex and Kelly are cute. I'm still a Kara and Mon-El shipper. Well, technically you can be that way because she married him in real life. So you got your way. They are building to that. Who knows? I mean, Mon-El might come back in the season finale and be like, come to the future with me, bitch. And then her and Lena will be separated forever. Because, I mean, that'll make a lot of people happy, I'm sure. I think this is one of the better episodes this season. I assume Esme is not a character from the comics. No, because Kelly is not a character from the comics. So, no. And technically, Alex is not a comic book character either. I'm pretty sure they tease Supercorp because they know we're going to tune in every week. I watched the ep with my mom and she thought they were a couple. Everybody does. I really think it's messed up that they queer bait like that. I really do. I do love Nixley though. She's a good little nymph villain. I really want to see her meet up with her dad. I don't care what's going on with Supergirl and Nixley. I want her to actually meet up with her dad. Because she even said, if you just let me have the totems, I'm going to be out of your hair. I'm going to kill my daddy. I mean, just let her do it. I'm like, let her live her life. Stay out of it. Just like when Supergirl was doing that speech saying, I don't want to tell the world how to do anything. No one should have that much power. I don't want to influence it. It's freedom. Well, let Nixley have the freedom to go take out daddy. I'm like, here you go. I know some people hate William, but I like him. I don't hate William. I just think it was an odd choice of kidnapping, for a ransom person. It's like, okay. Like, yes, William is kidnapped. The reporter has been taken instead of Alex or Lena. I mean, if he had taken Lena, Kara would have been losing her shit. So, if she took Lena, she'd be losing it. She would already had the totems. I do think that they are going to eventually kidnap Esme. I kind of feel like they're going to try because, like, the one thing that they didn't think through when they decided to just get her is that they are superheroes, which means their lives are always in danger. And they're always inviting danger into their lives. And William is literally a foreshadowing of anybody that they take in as a child potentially becoming a target, especially if they realize who they really are. So, yeah, Guardian might be harder, but, Alex's costume, I still know it's Alex. I'm just putting it out there. In reality, it is the worst Superman movie. Yes, the quest for peace was... I don't know what was happening. I understand that nobody likes nuclear war or the threat of nuclear war, but there's so much they could have done differently, like an entire plot of that movie. Yeah, it was bad. I never watched the movie. You know what? You did not miss out. Nixley and Lex are going to become a couple. The showrunners already said it. That's something that, oh no. Okay. So Nixley can get with Lex, but Kara can't get with Lena. I gotcha. That's shade. That is shade. Hello, Jermaine, Mercenary, Levi. I always say your name wrong. They probably didn't want to do a sexist damsel in distress thing or something. I don't know. It was just the way he was like, you're acting like I'm not even here. I don't need no Supergirl. I can leg sweep her, take it from her. I'm a real man. That whole scene was really funny. To be fair, the Phantom stuff was because of the absence of Melissa. And I get that. I know she was on maternity leave. But the episodes that she was in were still dragged out. Like, there were a lot of episodes that she and her father and Nixley were in that could have been basically condensed to 2 episodes. Them trying to save her literally could have been written as the team, trying to save her, getting the Phantom Zone, and then also Nixley immediately coming out with them and starting the totem. But instead, Nixley took off, and then we didn't see her for a few episodes, and then all of a sudden she's back trying to get totems. To me, I just think she just sort of hit the ground running, and then they would have had more exposition and more time to deal with her crap. Because, like, we're counting down now. It's weird. I think November is the first week of November, or the second week of November is the last episode of the entire series. So, and we're already, we're October 14th. So that's not a lot of time to resolve all this. So I feel like it's going to be rushed, but that's just me. We'll see. Again, the Arrowverse does their own thing. Zack Snyder's Justice League sequel would do Martian Manhunter justice. It would, because I don't like the fact that we got a little snippet of him in the Justice League Snyder cut, but yet he acted like everything that was happening, he didn't need to interfere with. He's like, I'll just see how they handle it. If the Earth's still here, then I'll join them. If not, I guess I'll find another planet to hop on. I'm like, that was so weird. Well, clearly Lex has been paying attention to what has been going on. Yep, I want to know. Well, we all know that Lex has connections everywhere, so that doesn't shock me at all. But yeah, that whole thing is interesting. He'd rather team up with a 5th dimensional imp than basically a Kryptonian. So that was funny. He'd be the one who, if this was Marvel Universe, he'd be making deals with Mephisto just to kill Superman and Supergirl. That's not Martian Manhunter. That's Green Nerf Man. Thank you. That is not, to be fair, I love the actor who plays him, but that is not Martian. Ugh. Legends was okay. I feel like it kind of dragged. That's the thing, though. It's on crack. It's meant to. The plot and like literally, it is the one Arrowverse show where everything in terms of plot and the setup of scenes and, continuity are always going to be all over the place. So that's completely normal with that show. I'm curious for the 100th episode. I am too. I cannot wait to see what they do on their 100th episode. Legends is definitely doing its own thing and has since day one. Do you like the relationship between Sarah and Ava? I love the relationship between Sarah and Ava. I absolutely do. Because Sarah is very insecure and being in the moment and being normal, and has a lot of fear about being a regular wife. You notice that how her being an alien hybrid really isn't something she's even thinking about anymore. It's more like, will I be a good wife to Ava? And then Ava is just neurotic as hell and has a lot of issues being, because, she's basically a clone and technically not real. So I love that these two characters are together and have to accept each other and love each other for what they are and what they are not, which is very interesting. So yeah, I do like their relationship a lot. Is it just me, or is Astra OP considering how long she's been studying sorcery? She's pretty good. Yeah, she's pretty. I'm really curious of what would have happened if she was able to finish that spell. The Astra scene was the best scene in the episode. I love Spooner and Astra's friendship. So yeah, I think I'm really happy that they both found somebody that they can connect with, because they don't really know how to have relationships. So I would love to have more like backstory on Spooner's upbringing in the future when she was living in Texas by herself. So Spoonette and Astra, what is going to happen? People are going to start shipping them. I have not started shipping them. I think that they're cute. But I don't think that they're going to be a couple. I think they are actually going to be extreme BFFs, because I don't think either of them should be a couple. But I think if Astra has to have somebody, it's probably going to end up being Bayrod, because he is gaga over her. And it's very obvious. Like when she was doing the spell, he's like, that's so cool. He is so into Astra. It's funny. They probably mentioned next episode how it made Gideon human. Yeah, I think that's going to be part of the spell. Like the resurrection spell obviously is not supposed to be done on an object. So it probably made Gideon human because it was trying to revive someone. So it revived a human version of the Wave Rider, or the Gideon brain of the ship, basically. So Spooner and Astra is going to have so much potential. They do have potential, but I really don't foresee them making them a couple. But I do foresee them being almost like sisters. But hey, I'm not opposed to it. I'm just saying I don't see it happening. I got major Bonnie and Clyde vibes. Yeah, I can see that. Especially the whole stuff with them and Hoover was funny. I'm sorry. I don't even know how Hoover got on top of the car, because Hoover is dedicated. That's how he got on top of that car. They should have gotten an uglier actor to play Hoover. Well, I mean, we've always seen pictures of him when he's older. I don't think I've ever really paid attention to younger pictures of any presidents. So he may have looked a little better when he was younger. Those town people are bank robber fans. They are. They were literally like, I mean, I was waiting for them to take out the peanuts, the popcorn, like, woo, like they were on it. They were like, this is what we do for entertainment in Odessa. We watch the bank get robbed, not realizing that our life savings and all of our town's money is in said bank. And if you have a bank that doesn't have insurance, well, then you're bankrupt. All your money is gone. But no, I want people to steal my shit. I want to watch them steal it and then like cheer them on as they go. Yeah, they need a hug. Something's wrong with them. Guess keeping them away is more humane than hostages. I don't know. Like I said, that whole situation is weird. Gideon was looking sexy. Do you think she would be a time-traveling technopath? I want her to be. I think that would be really cool. If she looked around and she's like, what did you do to my ship? And it just snaps her finger and the whole ship just comes back together. I think that would be very cool. Karen Dries, the showrunner, said they're setting up Sophie and Renee Montoya. I read that shit too. Sorry. Oh my God, I'm sorry. Batwoman was that bad, huh? Yep. I had someone else watch the Batwoman episode for me and give me the cliff notes. That's what I should do. But I can't, because it's not fair to you guys. So I personally thought it was decent, but still had issues. I didn't care about Alice or Mad Hatter. I'm not 100% sold on the Ryan mom plot. I'm not sold on any of it. Any of it. It was like at 4 when she said she was going to be late to class in season 2. And we're talking about Mary? Yeah. I know Mary says that. But again, if you look at the timeline of the episodes of season 2 and all the stuff that happened with Mary and the city, I mean, they've had zombies. They've had, she's been kidnapped multiple times, knocked the hell out. How did she have time between that and her clinic to go to school? Just concerned. Her clinic probably counted as her hours. And see, my thing on that is they didn't know about the clinic until late into last season because her dad found out and shut it down and then reestablished it. So she still could not have had any credit on anything prior to that because she was illegally performing medicine without a license. And technically, that is against the law. And Mary should have been in jail or put in jail over that. So, the things you don't do. The CW has never been very good at justifying suspension of disbelief to their audiences in their more serious hero drama. That is so true. That is very true. Like Ryan is like, I don't want to know my mom. I want to move on. But hey, here's this woman who, for convenience sake, just arrived in Gotham and just happens to be my mom. I know. I still think that, her ditching Mary like that was effed up. On the one day, I mean, she already should be traumatized over having to take the organs of the director of her medical program out of his body, almost killing him. She's doing it on stage live. And then all the stuff is resolved. And then you go home and you have her do the speech she couldn't give. And then you're like, cool. Yay. We were here for 5 minutes. Now we out because we got to go take care of our stuff. And Mary's just sitting there like, wow, everyone just ditched me. And then, she gets the present and it's from Kate. And I'm like, that is so messed up. And I think it's really interesting that these writers are literally showing you that Kate still gives a damn, by sending this present to Mary from Kate, meaning that Kate will always be thinking about Mary, which means that Ryan, who is now Batwoman, who should be her BFF, who lives with her, is her roommate, is not always thinking about Mary. Ryan is thinking about Ryan. So I'm just putting it out there. Look, I don't write this show. I just call the shit out. It's just what it is. I'm tired of Alice in this show. Yep, this back and pull of redemption on her is tiring. I'm tired of it too. And I feel bad because I really like the actress. And I think that Alice is a very good character and she's very engaging. But what they're doing, this tug of war between her, especially her and Ryan, is just effed up. They wrote Mary to be so whiny in this episode. She's like, oh, but Dad wanted me to come see you. And then she starts venting about how the fact that the dad doesn't send her postcards and blah, blah, blah. Not thinking that maybe Alice is really disturbed and it's not actually happening. Another scene that pissed me off is when Ryan realized that she was actually being delusional about, her dad sending her stuff. She started ripping the ads off the thing saying, it's not real. It's not real. I mean, that is not how you talk to somebody who's mentally ill. Don't get me started on it. I can't. Bat chasing. Yep. Sophie is she'll be bat chasing again soon. Trust me. Renee will probably be in for a season, then she'll be in Ryan's bed. And I love how the line was, Ryan, you're very interested in my love life. Foreboding. How many people in the ATN fandom actually like CW? I would love to know that too. Angry Grandma, yeah, she came out. She did. Batman still being messy? Absolutely. Batwoman is just an okay show for me. I have a long way to go before I consider the show overall good or great, and I'm always confused on the praise on the show and the writers. So am I. I don't get it because I'm sorry, I'm not. Forget Batwoman. I want Vixen. Yes, I would effing love. But you know what, though, guys? I'm terrified for the CW to do a Vixen show. I'm terrified. Terrified because they would F it up. Oh, no. Wayne Industries is so screwed. I'm telling you. And yes, I'm doing a rant. Why did the CW writers think the DC universe revolves around Felicity Smoke? I don't know because DC Comics sure as hell didn't because she was literally a minor literally issue-based character that was married to, I think, a security officer or some shit. Something to do with Wayne Industries. In Batman. She wasn't even in Arrow. So I have no idea. No clue. They should have recasted Kate from the beginning. I mean, honestly, like I said, I was on board with Ryan being a new, badass on her own merits, her own skills, her own story Batwoman. But that's not what we got. We got Black Kate Kane, and I can't handle it. We don't need, if you're not going to recast Kate, then don't give us a Black Kate, because that is an insult to all our POCs. You're basically telling us that we can't have stories that do not revolve around your main white character. That is literally what this says. And I mean, as somebody who's also half white, I'm telling you that this is what I'm seeing as a person of color, that this is why Ryan has clout. This is why she has merit, because she has Kate shit. That is it. That is how they wrote her. And they gave her the most stereotypical effing trope. Oh, well, I was arrested because I was carrying drugs on my person and thrown in jail. But you are the man that threw me in jail. And now I have to make this speech about how you effed me over. Which, granted, shit like that does happen in the world, but it didn't happen to her because she was really carrying drugs. They couldn't even make it believable there. I mean, it's so effing stupid. I want all of the writers gone, the showrunner gone. Start over. It's just not worth it to me. It is so stupid. As a Supergirl fan, I felt a bit insulted that someone said that the Batwoman writer should have written for Supergirl all along. Who said that? They need therapy. Batwoman could have a good show, but instead it's a hot mess. It is a train wreck that's happened that they still keep trying to drive. That's literally what it is. Do you think more people would watch Stargirl if it was called Justice Society? I didn't know that a lot of people were watching it. I mean, if they're going to be legit, like accurate, then they would be called Infinity Inc. Because remember, when Sylvester becomes Skyman, he forms Infinity Inc. And quite frankly, he may still do that. That may be why we have Sylvester, because he's the one that founds, Infinity Inc. And Rick is a member. So is Beth. So is Courtney. So is Yolanda, and a slew of other JSA people come in that are in and out of Infinity Inc. So I actually really like the Infinity Inc. run. So I want them to get to that point, but I don't know if they will, because again, Sylvester was, not Starman. So it's just Star Spangled Kid and then Courtney's Star Spangled Kid 2 were their actual identities before she became Stargirl. Like it's all crazy. It is all crazy. What would you think if Ryan and Sophie became a couple? Bat chasing. Because Sophie sleeps with everybody wearing a bat suit. Kate, Julia, and now Ryan. And I feel bad for Sophie because I actually like Sophie's character. I don't know why she stayed around in Gotham. She has no reason to stay in Gotham. I mean, she lost her job. She really has no connection. Her sister was there. I don't know where her sister is right now, the activist. Hopefully we'll see her again, but she wasn't in this episode. She has absolutely no reason to not go with Kate. The whole scene with Kate leaving her behind was stupid because the woman, if there was any time for you to pick up your life, it's when you do not have a job, and let's talk about this. Sophie does not have a job, right? In season 1, she was worried about how she was going to continue to pay for her apartment. I don't know if you guys remember that, because she got on suspension. Now she doesn't even have a job. How in the hell is she paying for her shit? I can't. Oh, sorry. Hi, how are you? I'm glad you're able to catch me live. I'm sorry that it's during an angry grandma rant. My theory why the resolution spell worked in the Gideon's AI software was sufficiently advanced to qualify her as having a soul. Yeah, I can see that. That's what I think happened too. I think they basically pulled out any human, like if you're a Ruby fan and the character Penny, and they were able to basically separate the droid from the AI or the machine from the soul and create a human body. I think that's kind of like what that is. I stopped watching Supergirl. The show is not about Supergirl, but Super Friends. So cheesy. I get that. Batwoman is better than Supergirl. I would say I like Ryan as Batwoman. See, I'm sorry. It's not even about liking Ryan as Batwoman for me. It is literally the fact that they sabotaged Ryan as Batwoman in the writer's room. Ryan, again, had a shitload of potential, but the writing for that show is bad. So I can't. I just can't support it. I'm sorry. Please do a Charmed update live soon. Yeah. My thing with my season 4 theory video is I was waiting on my friend, the Turnout. He's been going through some stuff with his family. Nothing bad, but he's been going through some stuff with his family. So we haven't been able to get together because of his schedule. So it may end up me doing it by myself, but I was trying to get another perspective. And he is one of the content creators in terms of Charm that I actually like working with. So, I don't really go out for other reviewers. I think me and the Turnout actually even started doing our collaborations by accident. He liked one of my videos and then I liked one of his, and then we decided to do a collaboration. So that was how that literally worked. I don't know any other reviewers. I don't go out of my way to find any other reviewers because I have my own style. And there's some reviewers that I checked out And I kind of feel like they're more PC. They don't want to say what they really think. They just want to like kind of give you an airbrush version of what they say. You know, on this channel, I don't do that. So I think I might be a little much for some reviewers because I don't hold back. So Turnout gets it. Some of the other people you see on my channel, they get it. Like, you know, me and Blurred Without Fear are very good friends because we're pretty much the same. We Sagittariuses, we don't give a shit. So we just say what we say. But a lot of people they're not like that. So if I can't get the Turnout to do it, I'm going to end up having to do it myself. So, but that's been the hold up there. That wasn't me withholding that Charmed season 4 theory video. It's just, I was trying to get, you know, Eloy to do it with me. What do you think of when Sophie came out to her mother? I thought that was very brave. Anybody that comes out to a parent, especially when they have a reaction like Sophie's mother, I mean, it's always brave. So I'm never going to downplay something like that. I think it was handled realistically because I mean, I luckily didn't have that moment with my parents, but I did have that moment with my in-laws. So I had a negative coming out moment when I got married, which is really weird with my in-laws. So, and it's a mess. It is a mess. Hello, Nicholas. I still have a theory that Anastastia's parents were targeted and that her parents died in a planned stage car wreck because her line was extremely powerful and dangerous. And now that they were out of, we're doing Motherland 3. I mean, I would love for Anastastia's parents to still be alive. I mean, maybe we'll figure that out in season 3 because this is the last season. So whatever they're going to do now, it counts. Do you ever think it's weird that Lena from Supergirl and Alder from Motherland Fort Salem favor each other a lot? Like I could literally see Alder being her older sister or even a mother type. Like in the flashback of Lena and Supergirl, if they had cast Sarah Alder's actress, they look so much alike. I mean, that would attract with me. The pictures of the camera could focus on other witch powerful families. I mean, I think it's cool. I just don't think they have enough. They'll have enough episodes to really have a side story for Anacostia. It would be nice, though. Seeing Renee Montoya left me with questions. Sagittarius analysis. Yeah, we got a lot of Sagittariuses around here, but yep, Sagittarius. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we're ever going to have Renee as the question or the question 2. It would be nice. It would be very nice. Again, I don't know. One more question, guys, because I have a voice gig that I have to get ready for in 4 minutes. Thoughts on what they did with Lena in season 5? I guess in every TV show, a character has to go down this entire road of fucking up and redemption and messing up a little bit more and then redemption and then going through a phase of nobody likes me, I'm going to separate from the group, and then having to come back to the group and make amends. And that was Lena's journey. That was her journey. And then she found her real mom, like, or at least about her real mother. Lena has gone through more character development than any other character in this whole show. It's true. Every character has gone through something, but Lena seems to have the most development because she's gone through like literally every stage: denial, anger, grief, betrayal, redemption. She's gone through all of it. So my thoughts with what happened with Lena in season 5 is just part of her journey of her getting to where she is now. So the real question is, where's she going next? Like, what is she going to do? Especially if Supergirl ends up going to the future with Brainy and Monel. If he comes back, what does that mean for Lena? And what's her role now? So unless Lena goes to the future too. But yeah, I have a feeling that Monel is coming back to get his girl. And that's going to be, I know a lot of Supercore people are going to be pissed. Like, even though I know that Melissa's married to him in real life. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Okay, it is now time for me to get out. I have 2 minutes to set up my my voice recording session, but we will be back with another video. We are doing our versus video too. Our Icon versus Blue Marvel video is going to be on Saturday, so be on the lookout for that because it is coming and it's going to be cool. I think we're going to do it as a live stream. It's a lot funner that way. So If I have to move it to Sunday, I will let you know. It's only if Groove schedule makes it, but I'm pretty sure we're doing it on noon on Saturday, but I will reconfirm. So we definitely will have that. And I have some more videos coming out too. I did some in Victoria. I got some spotlight videos, comic spotlight videos coming out, including Wildcat. It is coming. So yeah, it's going to be a great weekend, guys. But yeah, if it is day for you, have a good day. If it's evening for you, have a good evening. And I will talk to you guys and see you guys in my next stream/video. Bye.